Kia ora, comrade. Welcome to the show and thank you for being available to the Fourth Estate. Your democracy is grateful.
May we long protect the Fourth Estate.
Marama, let's get into this death by 1,000 cuts budget, because now we are doing the deep dive. Much of what has been trumpeted by the government turns out to be toxic garbage. Let's start with the education sector. They asked for $1 billion each year. The government gave them $500 million, but $100 million of that is to implement Erica Stanford's controversial curriculum. How is providing half of what educators need and using 20% of that budget to implement a curriculum most teachers are against, how is that helping public education?
It's not, and one could say, is this part of the plan to sort of ruin the public system of education,
right,
in order to further privatise it?
Yeah.
And I want to, there's a bit of stuff in here actually that might be worth just acknowledging. That I want to acknowledge that many of us, especially Māori, are aware that there need to be improvements in the service of our public services.
Totally.
And the quality of our public services, and especially in including in education. And I say that because I acknowledge that some organisations, and in attempting to correct some of the failings of the education system disproportionately for Māori, has seen some Māori communities pick up on charter schools,
yes,
and the opportunity presented in there.
Yes.
What I need to say is we can and must protect public education as a public good, to serve
yes,
the public good, the common good of people and communities. And we can absolutely support Māori communities to be able to run education as is appropriate, as fits. We do not have to go down a privatisation pathway to enable that.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because in New Zealand, we have this dichotomy, this headspace, that you have the public service and the private service, and between the two of them, you create this dynamism of competition and apparently efficiencies. When I've always thought that what we needed to have is a fully funded public system and a fully funded Māori system. That is education, that is welfare, that is hospitals, that is available to everyone, but done within a kaupapa Māori perspective, and that you actually get the dynamism and the change between a fully funded Māori service and the fully funded public service.
You know, Bomber, when the Greens talk about public housing, we include Māori-led housing.
Right.
We include Pasifika-led housing.
Yes.
We include community housing, but we also know that there are distinctly different roles for public, as in kainga ora, and
yep,
state-led housing,
yes,
alongside community-led housing.
Yeah.
But I want to address something that you're highlighting, because, this is once again, not surprisingly, but very disappointingly, further and further denigration of public service.
Yes.
Also,
yes,
this myth that if you just cut things in the back and say you're going to protect the front, that the front doesn't actually work without the back
exactly
working and functioning. And this is why we're seeing doctors and nurses doing admin and paperwork, when instead communities need them to be treating and seeing the people.
Exactly.
And so there are many people on front lines who know that the back lines, in theory, getting cut is the only things that are getting cut, also does not work and creates further havoc. But I think there's a bigger question here, Martin. And look, we've got to be honest and acknowledge that it's been happening for a long time now,
yes,
but there is a low trust in public services, and
yes,
that is by design.
Yes.
That has absolutely been by design, but especially right now, whether it's healthcare, education, the justice system, and so many other, and housing. And it is by design that a government that is wanting to erode public services is absolutely making the most of this time,
yes,
and saying, yeah, they're bloody useless and bloody hopeless. We're going to chop them down even more. We're going to chop them down even more. And I guess our message has to be, look, we absolutely need public services to be quality.
And for that to happen, they need to be fully funded, right? And this is why your wealth tax. This is why your wealth tax is so important.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. We need them to be fully funded. We need them also. We need, and as a violence prevention minister, I got to look under the hood and see exactly how much improvement needs to happen for the paternalism to be taken out.
Yes.
For true, authentic partnership where the Crown isn't working over the top of local-led community work, for the resources to be properly shared and divulged, not in a way that neglects government responsibility, but in a way that allows for communities to lead the work.
And it gives them the agency, right? The agency to lead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It gives them the agency, but also for the, I guess, could you say, vertical design of government departments that have not been set up to properly talk to each other, need to properly talk to each other.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm pointing out here, we know how they must improve.
Yes.
They do need further investment to improve. And at the same time, we also need to divulge resource and authority back out to communities as well. But we have to maintain the principle of for public good, which means that it is not for profit and shareholder spreadsheet.
Preach.
That's the key point and difference.
Let's look at health. It's $1.4 billion each year just to keep the lights on. The sector asked for $2 billion a year. The government gave them $1.3 billion, which is less than the current cost. How is that a win for Kiwis?
Okay, so I wish I was smart enough to put the thing on the screen. But if you've got a percentage of, say, GDP and health investment, and it might have been up here perhaps in the last couple of decades, and over successive governments, it's just been going down.
Right.
So the graph of the health investment and the health spending as a percentage of, I guess, our growth,
total spend,
has been dismally going down and down and down. So when this government, and any government, but especially this damn government, says we have made the biggest investment ever, bullshit,
right?
Bullshit.
Absolutely. And they never get called on this.
I feel like people have been trying hard. We've certainly been trying hard. Researchers have been trying hard. So have health experts. I think we just need to keep repeating it and being really, really, really clear.
Yes.
It's absolute bullshit. It's barely key. It's like a flicker rather than keeping the light actually on.
Right. The government made a huge song and dance about 3 days hospital stay for mums giving birth. But it turns out the government lied about that promise and it's actually being phased in over 3 years, which seems remarkably cruel to mothers about to give birth, isn't it?
You know, oh my goodness, I can't believe we're even having to debate this. One of the most important things that we can do if we want a beautiful country, which, I think we do, is look after Pepe and Mama and whānau.
Yep.
It is one of the wisest investments. It is an intergenerational benefit when we are looking after people properly. And I know you might have wanted to go in other places in the budget, Bomber, but where I went immediately and have tried to focus so far is in child poverty, which is connected also to how we care for mothers and newborns. Oh my goodness, what is the job of a government if not to ensure that children have their basic needs met, children and their whānau? And when you have got enough wealth in Aotearoa for everyone to live good lives, but you are making policy choices, political choices, to keep children living in material hardship, you really have to question, it shows what the priorities and values are of this political choice of government.
Wasn't it shocking looking at those government stats on child poverty and suddenly realising that over the term of this government, poverty has gone from 11% of hardship for children to 14.3%. If your policies are creating more child poverty, shouldn't you resign? Shouldn't you? If your policies are doing that, shouldn't you resign?
I wish that was how it worked, surely. Or surely you should at least commit to doing something and then be upfront when you... So what's not funny, what's even crueler, Martin, about the child poverty targets, and I've had the book open this whole time, is that There were targets set in law,
Yes.
for
Yes.
governments to meet, right?
Yep.
This government brought the targets down, changed the goalposts
Yes.
to make them more achievable, I think was their
That's
wording.
right.
Something
That's
in the
right.
law.
Yeah.
Let's change the law. This was what this government did. Let's change the law to make the targets, move the goalposts closer. Let's allow for more children to be left in poverty because that's a more realistic target. And they still couldn't reach it with the political decisions that they have made. So they lowered the bar.
Yes.
And then they didn't make the bar. And, this in light of, and I've been writing some stuff down as I've been having a sift through. So cutting benefits,
Yes.
leaving more children in material hardship and
Yes.
more whānau in poverty, cutting housing supports, cutting more jobs,
Yeah.
cutting funding to food banks at the same time. Because I actually want an Aotearoa where there are no needs for food banks.
Yeah.
That's a vision that food banks have told us.
Yeah.
We wish we didn't need to exist, is what food banks have told us. We wish we weren't here. But at a time when you've got record unemployment, record homelessness, when you're chopping supports and you're chopping housing supports and you're also firing more people, and then you go and halve the supports to food banks, make it make sense. It does not.
Finally, Marama, $780 million taken from the poorest New Zealanders. 8,700 jobs promised to be cut on top of the 9,500 that had already cut, and the PSA warning us $2.4 billion taken out of public services. Tell us that there can be a different path from this budget where the Ministry for the Environment isn't established. How can the Greens give us that kind of vision?
The people give it. I don't even need to, because the people are. Not one submission to the select committees about the disestablishment of the Ministry for Environment wasn't. I think there was one. One random. But the people have got the vision. You don't even need to rely on politicians. But the people have said very, very, very clearly, what the hell are you doing? Yeah. Who are we? We are a nation that understands the value of our living systems and of prioritising our environment for future generations. There is no economy with polluted waters and polluted oceans and polluted soils and air, and without our native species thriving. There is no economy without people being well, being cared for, and having what they need to live good lives. So, the people have that vision. We've heard it at select committees this entire government term and before. We're seeing people in communities put up the solutions, showing the politics of care. We should be a nation where children being able to access kai and shelter and healthcare and education properly doesn't have to depend on whether their parents have paid employment or not.
Yeah.
We can be all of that. It's the people who are telling us what our values are. And I think that's where the answer is. Not even in politicians, even if they happen to be good ones. I think the answer really is with people recognising their collective power.
Thank you, comrade, for your insight and oversight. We'll speak again next month. Thank you, Marama.
Kia ora, ka
Be well.
kite.
Be well.